Welcome into the Tusk 2-track adventure set early impressions review. As you see on the screen, it looks like about $255 for this set. I think I remember correctly. The note will be in there. It's a tire from Tusk that's 70% off-road, 30% on-road. I had options to go 50-50 and I chose to go 70-30 because I knew that this, as you'll see in a few minutes, this tire will correct a lot of mistakes for me and help me kind of develop my ability to finesse the bike, especially in the large adventure segment where I need to improve the most. Tusk describes the 2-track as an adventure tire created for riders looking for a high performance, long lasting tire. And when you feel it, boy, do you know it. This is a very hard compound tire. It's a little bit difficult to slide on. In fact, so difficult, I just paid somebody to do it. It was $50 per, and I avoided the headache and stress. And because the set of tires is so cheap, I didn't really have to worry about having to pay somebody. It's advertised as having smooth, predictable on-road performance. Now, you hear the tire and you feel the harder turn-in on the front. The front could be run at probably a little bit more pressure, just based off of how I've experienced it so far, because it is a little lazier than the stock tire. And you notice that you do get used to it, but it's going to take maybe 250. Let's say I think about one and a half tanks of gas in. I started to not remember the old way that the bike would turn in, but having a little bit more air up front compared to the rear tire helps. Like if you're going to run the rear 5 pounds below the sidewall, run your front right at the sidewall. On gravel, the turn-in feel, it's a little more lazy. I feel like on the heavier bike where it's digging into the ground more. So on the DR, I can cut corners a little harder on the same dirt roads. I cannot do that on the bigger bike. Part of that is experience. The other part is, like I said, it's just getting a little bit more bite, so you have to apply a little more force. It is biting though. That's something that's very important. And as you see, I'm going through this little green lane or 2-track or whatever you want to call it right here, right through some mud. Boom. That's what you really want to see anyway. But that bite on the front that you eventually forget about, it's very important in places like this. Look at this mud. If I need to change direction or hold a line and I'm going through something where I can't see the bottom, it's good knowing that at least that tire is going to track. So it's very good about that. Now, I'm about to turn off here in the video. Let me do my little turnaround. But we're going into the single track portion. Now, it was a mixed bag here. There was a lot of rough root. There was also a lot of, sugar sand. You'll see it coming through here. This is a more open section of the trail. The trail gets very tight. It's mainly ATVs that come in and out of here, but it's digging in and it's doing great. And the hardness of the sidewall, it helps a lot. If you can't see it in the video, but there are roots from these trees. It's Mississippi slash pine and longleaf, but their roots are about the size of average person's elbow or an average person's shin. And they're sharp and they stick up and they come in clumps. So with that, you want to make sure that you run them a little bit lower to absorb some of that impact, but the hard sidewall on this tire helps compensate for that. That same thing that made it so difficult to put on becomes an advantage later on. Now, like I said, I did not go with the 50-50 boutique tire. I call them a boutique tire because their prices, I feel like, are a little bit outrageous, and especially for a soft compound, I understand why they do it, to work better in cold environments, but I can't pay trail sport prices for tires that are going to wear down. And I get it, the soft compound, I keep calling it cold compound, sorry, but the soft compound tire It's great when you're going into the cold mountains and on roads where you need to get some grip. But and I live in a warmer climate, and if I was to be in a colder climate, I would just finesse it a bit. I wouldn't be too worried about that. As far as the on-road comfort, once you adjust to this tire and you are on-road, you will get a little bit of a noise. It depends on how the tire's inflated. You will hear some road noise. That is going to happen. And sometimes I haven't quite found the sweet spot where it's more quiet, but you will get used to it, and it will start to feel just like the stock bike, really. Once you get settled into the tire. When I selected these, especially on the back tire, I'm going to bring up a image of the front and rear tires, and you see me, I'd use my finger to kind of give a impression of how good the depth is and the tread depth. From what I understand, they've been known to last a very long time because of this tread depth, but on that back tire, it's almost like a boat paddle, like a steamboat, and that's what really sold me the tire. Not only was it a good deal, but I could use that steamboat style paddle to slog through like different mud, different types of sugar sand that I was going to hit. Right here, I'm riding over a ton of the sugar sand right now, and this paddle is doing the work for me. This rear paddle style tread that it's got. But on road, it's close enough together that it provides a good contact patch. And honestly, in the rear end of the bike, it doesn't feel much different than the stock tire regarding like turning, grip, and handling. I do like that. I'll probably stick with the 730. I think if you're going to get bike tires, I kind of like to use an inverse rule with my motorcycle tires. Either 70-30 if you know you're going to go off-road, or do 30-70. If you got the money, get you a 50-50, great. Coming up here, this is getting about halfway or nearing the end of this trail, though. This becomes like an ATV. You just point and shoot. This thing just rips through it. There you go. Got a little bit of stall at the end there. I didn't want to go too fast at that point because my arms are starting to get a little bit of arm pump. I want to start riding pretty conservatively through this. I could tell you where this bike would really, really stand out. Everybody is looking for information on tires and what's best. Remember that riders all weigh different weights. Bikes are all different weights. But a bike that I could see this really working on, it's exceptionally well, is the Tenere 700. It's right in between the Africa Twin and DR650 as far as weight, but I could see it doing a great job for that bike. Here we go on this. Oh wait, I thought that was it. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a much smaller screen right now, but it goes over some baby heads. Now, I don't know how, I don't have much experience with that type of terrain. So I don't know how other tires compare, but going over that baby head rock, it was even a little bit much for the Africa Twin suspension. But overall, these tires are affordable, hard compound, which means long lasting, and they grip. And they grip like a son of a bitch, especially over, look at that going over a little log, but they grip like a son of a bitch in mud and things like that. It helps you rip over obstacles, and it made the bike feel almost like a mild ATV effect. And with that, I can't thank all of you enough for 1,000 subscribers. I'm very much a baby at this YouTube thing, but I appreciate the support. And with that, I'll leave you with the rest of this riding footage. Have a wonderful day. See you in the next video. And until then, I'm Comfy Dad Shoes. Take care.